God always teaches us things through difficult trials, and yeah, I'm certainly trying to embrace the lessons that he's teaching me here, because he does not waste anything, which is great. It's certainly been a very interesting experience and journey for me. I am a fairly independent person, and I definitely like doing things for myself, and I don't tend to like asking for help, which is, not all that unusual. But I'm definitely, more that way inclined than a lot of people. I'm also the kind of person who sees like 100 little jobs that need to be done, and, I just get in and I do them. And especially being a mum, there are just always 100 little jobs to do, and then the big jobs. And then I have suddenly been thrown into the position where I actually can't do most of the things that I would normally do. Some of them I can still do, but with great amounts of difficulty, to the point where it really just makes a lot more sense for someone else to take 2 seconds and no effort to do it, rather than it taking me 10 minutes, a lot of effort, and possibly a lot of pain, depending on what I have to do. In a lot of ways, it's been driving me insane, because I will see something that needs to be done and just know that I can't do it. And Matt might be busy doing something else. The children might not be capable of doing it. So it just has to be left undone. But that's really hard for me. I'm like, no, this job, it has to be done. And, you kind of realize what's really important and what's really not, and what you can get away with not doing. Apart from losing a lot of independence and needing to ask for help for so many things, knowing also that I just can't do the jobs around that I feel need to be done, and seeing Matt have to do everything and then struggle because he's tired or stressed out, and knowing that I can't really be there to help with that, that's been really hard for me as well. But he's been doing really well. Gosh, organisation is not something that comes really naturally to him, and when you've got 4 kids, I would say you need to be fairly organised if you want your life to run even remotely smoothly. Some people are really good at just winging it, not being organised, and they pull it off really well. I am not one of those people, and yeah, Matt's learned that he needs to be organised to a certain extent to make things work. Yeah, and then when I came home, it wasn't just that he had to look after all the kids, but he also had to look after me. I'm fairly resourceful and creative, so I am just trying to make things work for me and find ways around certain difficulties and issues. But ultimately, I do have to accept that there are just things that I cannot do, which is difficult, but there we are. Like driving, for example. It doesn't matter how creative I get with that or how much I want to try. Bottom line is, it is too dangerous for me to drive, and I should not attempt it. But in a very strange way, this has become a season of rest for me. It's forced rest, but for someone like me, that is kind of the only rest that I will give myself sometimes. I have never placed a whole lot of value in rest and recreation, and I know that that is actually wrong, and it's something that I need to change. And so right now, I'm totally getting confronted with that, because I do just need to rest, and part of what's going to get me better sooner is resting and allowing my body to heal, and then taking things slowly. I'm being diligent with exercising my joint and ankle and all that, but that's really all I can do. So it's only a little bit, and I can only do a little bit each day, and then I need to stop. And so I've been trying to make the most of this time, so doing things like language learning, and yeah, I'm usually running around doing just so many different things with the kids and with the house and all of that, and I have been forced to take a break from that, and it's really strange, but it's actually lovely. I feel like I'm on a weird kind of holiday, and it's so weird to say that, because even going to the toilet is a huge effort, and kind of scary too, because I've got my little crutches or my walker thing to try and get to the toilet, and I'm like terrified that I'm going to slip, because if I do I will really hurt myself and I could potentially fall on my ankle and, you know, make this all worse again. And so yeah, like I say holiday, but yeah, I still have been able to rest from doing 101 things and trying to remember what needs to be done and keep it all in my head and plan what the next thing is with the kids and with, you know, what we're doing, and make sure I can fit everything into the day. And yeah, all of that has just had to be dropped, and kind of most of it's been transferred to poor Matt, so he's now taking on all that. So while this isn't the greatest experience, I am trying to take every bit of goodness out of it and appreciate it for what it is. And really, I am so blessed. And yeah, even though it grates against my personality, it's been really good for me to have this change of pace and change of mindset, where I am not doing as much and I am reliant on other people and I have to ask for things, and it's not just like, oh, I'll do it all myself. I think I will be a more well-balanced person by the end of this. Today I'm feeling a bit discouraged. I mean, I haven't been sleeping very well, so I'm pretty tired. I'm aware that being overweight is going to make things more difficult with my rehabilitation, just having the extra weight on my ankle. So I've been trying really hard to, at the very least, not put on weight while I'm not able to move around very much, but possibly even trying to lose a little bit of weight. And I know I need to be sensible with that because my body needs the energy to heal and stuff. But yeah, after a week of really trying quite hard and then hungry and feeling dizzy and shaky and all of that, and I've actually had that a few times, and when you're trying to get around on crutches and stuff, that's a very unnerving feeling, especially when you're scared of just falling again and hurting yourself. So that's been quite difficult. And then today I weighed myself, and not only have I not lost weight, I've put on weight. And I don't know, it's just kind of like, oh, is it worth putting in all this effort when it's not even doing anything? But then I'm like, well, if I don't try to lose weight, then I'm probably going to end up putting on a lot more weight. And yeah, that's just going to make my rehabilitation harder. But I don't know, maybe I just shouldn't worry about it and just be like, oh, it's just going to be hard anyway. So I don't know. I've also been trying to be very, very diligent with my exercises and doing them several times a day, but then giving myself breaks in between. And then I've been like icing down my ankle, just, you know, to try to reduce swelling. And I've tried to be doing all the things that I'm supposed to be doing. And the last couple of days I've been very, very sore, and it makes me worry that maybe I am overdoing it. So I gave it a day off to not do anything, but I was still just in a lot of pain and, you know, frustrated that I just can't do much. Yeah, with how I've been feeling, I'm just kind of hoping I haven't aggravated things and then therefore prolonged my recovery time. But within all this, I really am trying to remember the wonderful blessings that I do have. Yeah, so I'm really just trying to focus on the things that I do have and the things that I can do. But some days it just kind of gets to you a bit, and I think the last couple of days it's been a bit like that. I've had a shower, I've had something to eat, I've given myself a bit of a pep talk, and I've sent out a message to some good faithful friends to pray for me. So it should all just be uphill from here. One thing about me is I do not really like complaining. And when it's happening in my own head, I can't really get away from it. But the advantage of that is that if it's happening in my head, I am also the one who can control it and change it. So even though there's a few things to complain about, it's really not doing me any favors. And let's face it, I have more to be thankful for than I have to complain about, that's for sure. So I'm just gonna keep focusing on the blessings that I do have and enjoying the wonderful life that I have. It says in the Bible in James, consider it pure joy when you face trials. And the reason for that is because it produces in us things that are far more precious than the temporary discomforts that we experience. And I've found that to be so true in my own life. So yeah, this is just another opportunity for me to grow in many ways, and I certainly am. And so this is a trial, but I can consider it a joy. Over the last few years, have experienced quite a lot of trials that have been a lot harder than what I'm going through right now. And so I've gotten very used to recognizing the blessings that come along with trials. And so, yeah, in this, like, I am so grateful to what God is teaching me and the way that He is blessing me and helping me. And really, I know that it doesn't matter how hard the trial is. If I've got Him by my side, like, I can make it through and it'll all come to good, even if it's hard. Hopefully that can be an encouragement to other people if they're going through something that's a bit difficult. And actually it's funny because yeah, I've been through some quite significant trials over the last sort of 2-3 years, and but I'm aware that everyone goes through hard times, and that's just a normal part of life. And there's always something going on. Like, very rarely can you look at your life and go, yep, everything's perfect. And so I remember I was sitting here going, is this really a hard time? Or is it just, one of those fairly normal things that's not actually that big of a deal? And for a second there, I thought, no, a broken bone, that's, pretty normal. Like, I sort of put it in context, and it's a very badly broken bone that required surgery and will require months of rehabilitation. While I have 4 young children and have moved to a different country. Yeah, and there's just a lot of other factors and things that go along with all of this. And I thought, this would be considered a properly difficult time, not just, one of those, But I thought it was rather humorous that I actually stopped for a moment and considered that this was just a sort of not very hard thing, just in comparison to the other hard things that I've been through recently. So I had a mentor that was once chatting to one of my friends, and my friend was going through quite a hard time. And my mentor said to her that it was like David and Goliath. And right now she was fighting the lion and the bear. And, Goliath was going to be in the future. And my friend said, oh, well, if this is how hard the lion and the bear are, I don't know how I'm going to defeat Goliath. And my mentor said to her, no, that's the point. Like, by the time you get to Goliath, you'll be like, oh, well, this is no big deal because, I know that God can take care of the lion and the bear. So, of course, He can take care of Goliath. And, yeah, I sort of relate to that a little bit here, where it's like, I've, been through the lion and the bear, so get to this, and it's like, oh yeah, no, this is fine. We got this. But yeah, there's been a lot of difficult things about this that I won't share, mostly because it will just take forever. But yeah, it's certainly not been the easiest time for us all.
And yeah, it was pretty tough.
Matt basically went from being a husband to a single parent.
Yeah, my respect for single parents just. What you do is amazing. Trying to sort of manage things with the 4 kids and just housework and all the day-to-day things, as well as just the challenges that come from living in a different country, trying to get your food and your groceries, and, every time you want to go out and get something to eat, there's always an ensuing conversation where no one knows what the other person is saying, and just complexities like that. But I do have to say a huge thank you to Wolfgang and Diane, who helped us out a lot at that time. Just times where I just felt I desperately needed a rest, or times where I needed to do something outside of the house. I maybe needed to go to organise something or whatever, and I just couldn't take the kids with me. They helped us out quite a bit, and I don't know how I would have got through that time without that support.
Thank you.
I was also trying to go and visit Sarah at the hospital, as often as I could, just to see how she was going.
And to do things for me, because
Yeah.
gosh, the language barrier, just even little things like it was often just easier to not ask for anything than to try to explain what I wanted and then not get what I had asked for, and I just couldn't do much for myself. So yeah, when Matt did come, it would just be like, can you please make me a cup of tea? And can you pick up that thing off the table for me? And yeah, so.
And that was maybe a bit of foreshadowing for when Sarah did come home, because she couldn't do a whole lot. Especially at first, so there was just a lot of stuff that's like, can you please do that and please do that, and poor Sarah felt really guilty asking, but we both sort of I had to learn to just be okay with it, and she had to learn to be okay with it as well.
It's been a very interesting season for us just individually, and for our marriage and for our children and our family dynamics. Like, it's really been an upheaval, and the kids have been absolutely wonderful. They really haven't been complaining, and they'll do what I ask, and they try to do it to the best of their ability. We've had plenty of times that I have thought I've asked them to do something that was within their skill level, and it turns out it's not, and then it has to be like, oh man, can you please fix up what's happened here? Like, the doctor didn't give me a referral to a physiotherapist, but everyone I sort of spoke to about this kind of injury said that it was really important to get a good physio. And I just find I'm not exactly sure if I'm overdoing it and what exactly I should be doing, so I ended up just booking myself into the physio. But we're in Thailand, so things are just difficult and confusing, and I went to my last appointment and it just wasn't on. I don't know if I got it wrong or they got it wrong. I still don't know what happened. All I know is I got a phone call before my appointment to ask if I was coming in, and I said yes at 12, but then there was no, they're leaving at 12, and so I didn't know what was happening, so I just got ready as quickly as I could and got down there, and then they said they weren't there, and I don't even really know. Various struggles with this broken leg has really thrown out my sleeping. Just really not sleeping very well at the moment. It's almost 1 o'clock in the morning, which is, one of the coolest parts of the day. So I just figured, since I can't sleep, I'm pushing up and down the driveway in my wheelchair. I thought, I'll get a little bit of exercise. May as well, I'm not really doing anything else. Thankfully, I am blessed and can sleep during the day, because tomorrow everyone's out of the house because all the kids will be at school and Matt will be somewhere. So, yeah, I can just sleep if I'm tired during the day. So I've started getting some blisters on my hands from the crutches. So what I've done, we had a pillow that kind of fell apart, and so I have sewn on some padding with the leftovers of the cushion, so that's the material, and it's inside there, so hopefully that will help me a little bit. I had to hand sew it, so I had a sewing machine back home, but I certainly didn't pack that, so yeah, hand sewing, but it's all done, and hopefully my hands will not be quite so sore now. So this is a way to get my walker to certain spots so I can then use it. Yeah, so hopefully this just gives you a little bit of a snapshot of what's going on, and so keep praying, and hopefully I'll be back on my feet and back to normal in no time.